Well, thanks for talking to Newcastle Live. We really appreciate it. You're playing Lizotte in Newcastle on Friday the 24th of April. Aussie musos love playing Lizottes. What do you think it is about that venue?
Oh, look, it's just great. It's a fabulous old theatre, and it's just a great place. Everyone can see. The crowds are always really good. They're always in a really good mood. They sing like crazy, and we always have a really great night.
Yeah, it's definitely got a certain vibe about it, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's right. So it's about the music somehow rather than other stuff.
And tell me, how's the show going to be structured? Are you playing the album in full up front and then some hits, or how are you planning to do the show?
Exactly that. We'll play all the songs on the album, which has been great fun actually, sort of deconstructing them and doing a bit of reverse engineering on them all. And yeah, we'll just do the whole album, and then we'll do the Dragon, all the rest of the Dragon stuff.
And when you say you reverse engineered, can you sort of elaborate on that for me a little bit?
Well, just going through and playing some of the parts off the records, basically making them a lot truer. The version's a lot truer to what we play now. So it's fun to do that. Actually see what it was that we actually were thinking in the first place.
And have you done that have you done that by yourself, or has that been like a jam room process that you've been through?
So far we've just been doing stuff on our own, and then we'll get together and run them through. But there's quite a few of those songs we know anyway, even though we're not playing them every night. So there's only about 3 or 4 that some of the guys haven't learned before, so it's quite an easy process.
And you've been having fun jamming through it all?
Yeah, it's great.
And tell me, how did you come to work with Mark Williams? Were you guys mates, or was there an audition process? Like, how did that come about?
He had come around to a studio on Bondi Road and sung on some stuff before. And I've sort of always distantly known him. He did a shatteringly heart-wrenching version of Are You Old Enough at Mark Hunter's funeral in the cathedral in Sydney. And when I thought about getting the band to play again and play these songs again, I thought, well, who would be great? Because I needed someone who was totally in a different area from Mark Hunter. Who was a great singer and had a lot of energy. So just out of the blue, I didn't even think about it. I just rang him up and said, "You want to be in a band?" And he said, "Yeah," and that was it. We just got together and started playing.
Well, that's also fairly organic then.
Absolutely. The process was, I was doing TV series, music to a TV series, and I asked my assistant in the studio, "Did you know any great guitar players?" And he said he knew Bruce, who was playing with Wendy Matthews at the time. So I rang, same thing, I just rang him and said, "Do you want to be in a band?" And he said, "Yeah, have you got a drummer?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, I've got a fabulous drummer," and sure enough he did. It was Pete. So we just got together and started playing. That was over 600 shows again. It was a completely organic process. There was no auditions or any of that trash.
Oh, that's wild. And tell me, so you've been writing music for TV shows?
Yeah.
And how's that differ from a process from writing a rock pop song?
It's a totally different discipline where everything you do is driven by the literary side of what's going on and how you want people to react emotionally to the scene. But you have to be careful so that no one notices the music. If anyone says, "Wow, what's that music doing there?" It's not doing its job.
Yeah.
It's just like an emotional comment on what's going on, and you can play against stuff or with it.
And have you found a freedom in that, or do you find that,
Yeah, no, it was. I'm not doing it anymore. I did 6 years of Heartbreak High, which just blew me out of the water.
Yeah, what a great series.
Yeah, and it was like every week for 6 years. And yeah, look, it's a really enjoyable thing to do. But at the moment, I'm just doing the band and having a. In the end, sitting in the studio by myself, I just felt I've got to get out there with people, because when you play at night, that's the only time it ever happens, and it's immediate. It's fantastic.
And tell me, I want to have a chat to you about the bass sound you recorded on Rain. How did you get that sound? And did you play around with different things, or you just knew that was the sound that you wanted from the beginning?
Yeah, well, in those days, I had a Steinberger bass, one of those headless basses. I didn't have a bass amp. I just plugged straight into the PA system and threw a little box called a Yamaha SPX 40 or 30 or 10 or something.
Okay.
And there's a setting on it called Symphonic, and which gave it this sort of clank. And that was it. I just did the same thing. So in Rain, in the studio, I had a huge Ampeg amplifier, and that box just going straight through it, and that was it. It was incredibly simple.
And that went through the rest of the album, or that was a particular sound that you captured for Rain?
No, it was mainly on that song, I think. Then I just used it live for like the rest of the 80s.
You don't hear bass sounds very often like that anymore. Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. Maybe because it's the traditional thing of bass should be, back in its pocket and just doing what it's doing in the background.
Yeah.
The way we're set up at the moment, I go through a rack where all our stuff goes through to record. And Pete has reverse engineered that sound, so I've got it again.
Oh, cool.
For certain songs, I just crank it up and away we go.
That must be a trip.
Yeah, it's great.
And what sort of guitars are you playing now?
At the moment, I'm just playing a Fender Precision, and it's just like from the local mum and pop music store. And it's not a hugely expensive guitar or anything, but it's just great. It has a huge amount of bite and a lot of bottom end. So very happy.
And I wanted to finish up by asking you, it's a fairly broad question, so, please feel free to answer any way you like. I wanted to ask you, since you've been touring around Australia for so long, how do you think touring across our country has changed over the years?
It's very different now, in that you don't have a big PA system or anything, or crew. You just turn up with your guitar and play. So it's much better for us anyway. And sort of in some way, what it's like now is how it always should have been. Rather than a huge infrastructure and expenses and everything, we just turn up and play. We can play anywhere from your lounge room to 10,000 people like we did last weekend for Day on the Green, and it works,
And tell me the difference in your approach to a gig like a Day on the Green or a small gig like Lizotte's. Is it the same approach, or do you do things differently?
No, it's exactly the same. We just turn up and play.
And you find a freedom in that?
Absolutely, yeah. We don't have to play on music or anything. We just shamble on stage and start playing, and the crowd does the rest. They just sing all the songs.
And so you said that you're not writing and producing any more music for TV. Have you been in the studio? And if so, what have you been working on?
Well, the studio now is anywhere. It's from your little room to your laptop in any room. So, we're constantly working on new songs. There's a new album coming out. Like every year we do an album of new songs, just for the love of it. So, yeah.
And tell me, is there a single I should be listening out for? Like, is there a particular song you're really excited about?
Yeah, well, you probably haven't heard last year's effort, which if you go to dragononline.com.au, go to the SoundCloud button.
Yep.
And check out Don't Wait for Tomorrow and all those songs. So that's the sort of stuff we're doing now.
I actually listened to Don't Wait for Tomorrow this morning before I rang you.
Yeah.
Tell me what that song's about.
That's a song of Pete's, and it's just, I have no idea what it's about. It's about seizing the day. Carpe diem.
That's fantastic. And is that the overall sort of, arcing message for, how you're approaching music these days? Just seize the day.
Yeah, you never, it's funny, after being in it for so many decades, you never look back. It's always, what's coming up in the next 6 months. I think our next free weekend is at the end of July. So you're just basically dealing with everything that comes up. And it's a great thing, nostalgia is rubbish as a celebrity.
So you never compare the body of work that you've created to the work that you're doing currently?
Yeah, no, because it's just like one long continuum. And, it's just a great thing. So the big reward is to be a working band. Play anywhere and often, like every weekend. So you have your life during the week, out in the country or whatever.
Yeah. And
meet at the weekend and go somewhere and play.
Well, that sounds great. We're really looking forward to the show. We can't wait to see you in Newcastle.
Right.
Tell me, just before I leave you, have you got any stories about playing in Newcastle that we may not know of?
We play Newcastle quite a lot, and every single time it's fabulous. For some reason, the crowds are really good and they sing like crazy. But in the old days, we used to do different shows, and they would either be horrible or great. Now they're consistently good, so that's better.
What made the shows so horrible?
Oh, look, they could be really terrible depending on how Mark was feeling, or amazing. So now it's much more even thing where now it's much more of a thing where everyone in the room is part of the band. You come to the show, you sing, and it's like an overall encompassing sort of experience rather than a spectacle. It'll either be a train wreck or something amazing.
Well, as I said, we're really looking forward to the show. Thanks for speaking to us today.